Hi everyone, can you hear me?
Yes.
A very good morning and good evening, guys. So, thank you for joining this demo session. Let me introduce myself. My name is Suresh, and I'm going to be your trainer for this course. Okay, and yeah, I have close to 12 years of experience working on data engineering. I have been working on data engineering from the day one of my career. Started with Hadoop, uh, MapReduce. Basically the Hadoop stack, not just MapReduce. I have worked on MapReduce, Hive, Spark, and all those technologies on premise, and then transitioned my career into cloud back in 2018, and have been working on all the three clouds, three public clouds that were available, predominantly on Azure and then GCP, and have some experience with AWS as well, not as much as compared to Azure and GCP. So, coming back to my training experience, I have started trainings back in 2017, and I have been training folks on Azure data engineering and Python. So these days I'm not taking Python sessions, but I have stuck myself with Azure data engineering. This is some brief introduction about me. Okay. So let's try to make this session as interactive as possible, guys. Let me give you the agenda first. I just want to start with my introduction, and then I'm gonna introduce what exactly data engineering is, and then I'm gonna talk about different data roles we have. We'll try to understand the difference between data engineer and then data scientist, and then our data analytics, our data analyst. And then I'll be introducing our course. So what we are going to learn as a part of this course, and how it is going to help your career. And probably last 10-15 minutes I'll be spending addressing your questions if you have any. Does that sounds good? Okay. So as I have requested, let's try to make this session as interactive as possible, guys. Probably you can unmute yourself, talk, share your thoughts, or you can use the chat window as well. Okay. So before we understand what exactly data engineering is, what is data? We have been hearing this term a lot of times, right? So what exactly is data? What do you know about data?
Collection of information.
Collection of information. Okay. So I have got a new term, information. What else can you think of? So we keep using this term information a lot of times, right? Especially when we want to know about something, we would be asking, do you have any information on this particular thing? So do you have any information on the weather? Do you have any information on the train schedules, or do you have any information on a particular trip? Okay, so we keep using this term a lot, information, but there is a lot of difference between data and information, guys. Okay, so to talk about data in a bookish terms, the definition is collection of raw facts. Collection of raw facts. This is the bookish definition for data. So we'll try to understand what exactly are these raw facts. Okay, so for me to put it in a layman terminology, data is nothing but some collection of numbers and digits, as simple as that. Okay, so I call them as attributes, but for me, data is collection of some numbers and digits or letters, I would say alphabets. Okay, so what do I mean by that? So, for example, we use the term information in a wrong context in our day-to-day life. So, for example, the right term to ask for weather is data. Do you have any weather data? Or do you have any data on a particular employee? Or maybe you have any particular, sorry, you have any data on a particular product. Okay, so data is nothing but collection of these attributes. So for example, I'm talking about product data. Okay, maybe I want to understand what products we have. So uh, the key attributes that comes into picture are a unique identifier, which can be used to identify this particular product. We call it as product ID, and then the product name, then to what category this particular product belongs to, and maybe the description of the product and the image of the product, maybe the price of the product, and the maximum discount that can be offered for this particular product, so on and so forth. These are all the different attributes that can describe a particular product. And similarly, if I talk about student or student data, we have again a unique identifier to identify the student ID, and then student first name, student last name, student department, student marks, student percentage, and then remarks, whatnot. And then you talk about employee, again, employee ID, employee name, employee reporting to or the reporting manager, and then employee location, employee residential address, so on and so forth. Okay, so this is what we call as data, guys. Okay, so this is not information, right? So whatever the attributes I was talking about, right, they are nothing but the raw facts in the definition, collection of raw facts. Okay. So now what is information? Any guess?
So metadata is metadata.
Sorry, Suresh.
It's the details of the data. What is like, whether
Okay.
it's a product or an object. And
Mm-hmm.
based on the context, we'll get info, typically.
Yes, to some extent. So anybody else would like to add to that? So basically, information, right? Information is nothing but insights that you get from your data. Okay, or probably the patterns you can think of it as. Okay, I'm trying to put it as laymanly as possible. Okay, so let me give you an example. Say, for example, I was given a student's data, of a particular class. Just by looking at data, I won't be able to interpret anything. But when somebody comes to me and tells me that, boss, the average percentage of this particular class is maybe 78. Okay, then I can draw something, what does that mean when average of this particular class is 78? So if you pick any student in random, his percentage would be in and around 78. There could be some outliers too, where people scoring more than 90% and then students scoring less than 50%, or some students getting failed too. There could be some outliers, but as a whole, most of the students would fall in that 78 bracket, in and around 78, maybe plus or minus 5 or plus or minus 10. Okay. So likewise, the average rainfall in a particular area is some centimeter, X centimeter. you can infer something. And maybe somebody is saying, the weather in Hyderabad today is very cold. You are trying to get something out of your data. So, for example, this particular train, some XYZ train, is uh, delayed by 3 hours on an average. Meaning, you have booked for that train, you can expect a delay of at least 3 hours. Okay, or maybe in and around 3 hours. Maybe it could be from 2 hours to 4 hours. Okay, so this is what we call as information. So these information is nothing but some patterns or insights that are extracted from your data. So where do you get these insights from? From your data. Okay, let me take a pause. Are we good so far? The difference between data and information. Okay, now data roles we have. This is something which I want to emphasize on because often people mixes these roles and their expectations would also be different. Okay, so for example, where we need a data engineer, people would be asking for a data scientist. Okay, so having a clear understanding on this is also very important. So in data, we have three predominant roles. One is data engineer, second one is data scientist, and third one is data analyst. Okay. Now, maybe let me pick an example. Okay. So this is from one of the projects I have worked on. Okay. So this is something which I have done for Google. So Google conducts some events, right? Have you ever heard about those events? Google Next, or sometimes you get some emails, sometimes you get invited to some workshops from Google if you have subscribed. Okay. So, can you guess what is the primary source of Google's income?
Yeah, I don't know.
Sorry?
Yeah, I don't know.
Uh, I'm not sure, Suresh, but your voice is echoing.
It's like based on the ad revenue.
Advertisements, okay.
Yeah.
What else? What else can you think of? GCP? What is GCP? Any idea?
The cloud
It's Google
platform.
Cloud Platform. So Google does have a cloud platform. It's one of the uh, prominent cloud provider. Okay. And then there is something called as G Suite. Have you ever heard about it? G Suite. So basically, whatever you are using for free of cost, right? Like Gmail ID, and along with Gmail ID, you also get some tools and infra, right? Some storage in the form of Google Drive, and then you'll have Google Docs, Google Presentation, Google version of Excel. A lot of tools you'll get. So this is called G Suite. Okay, so you are getting it for free, but let's say I'm running an organization, Career IT, and then maybe I want to have my email, suresh@careerit.com. So this is where G Suite comes into picture. Okay, so basically I can create a Google business page. The moment you search for Career IT online training in Google, you will be seeing a tile about Career IT, and then you'll get to see our contact number, website link, and then reviews from our previous students, so on and so forth. Okay, so once you created this business page, I mean, this you can also use some templates to Google templates to build your website too. Not just that, we have a premium version of all the tools you use for free. Okay. And you can manage users, you can do a lot of stuff. So basically, you can run an organization using G Suite, just like Outlook in your organization. Okay. So these are the three primary sources of income for Google, guys. Okay. Now, have you ever heard about a word called campaigns? you might be seeing a lot of campaigns, right? When you visit a mall or, maybe in your society, somebody would come and conduct a campaign to market their products. Just like that, Google also does campaigns. Okay, like I was mentioning, you would receive emails from Google about their products. Okay, so that is called email campaigning. And then maybe once you have subscribed, you'll be receiving links to attend some workshops. It's another campaign. And then the CEO himself would present the products lined up or the upgrades lined up in the Google Next event. That's another campaign. So likewise, all the activities they conduct, to market their products or to sell their products, they are called as campaigns. Okay. And Google would invest some amount into these campaigns, guys. They cannot invest the same amount for all the campaigns they run. They need to understand which campaign is providing them with more returns. We call this as return on investment. ROI, return on investment. So they need to identify which campaign is providing them with the most returns, and they'll be investing more on that particular campaign from their budget, from their marketing budget. Okay. So our project is to identify these returns on investments. Okay, so let's say they have 10, 15 campaigns they conduct. We need to identify uh, how much each campaign is contributing to the conversions. Say, for example, today we have 14 participants, and then you ignore three participants from the career IT side, we have 11 participants. And this is a campaign. The demo session we are attending is a campaign. And then we'll have to see how many of you would convert into our customers. This is what we call as conversion. Right now, you all are our leads. Okay. So we got your contact in one or the other way. Maybe you might have responded to our campaigns, which is a WhatsApp message, or maybe a call from Career 80 folks, or maybe, your references from our past students. Could be anything. Okay, so since you have attended this workshop, you will become our opportunity. And then based on this demo, maybe you want to have more interactions, maybe with the trainer, or maybe with the career ready folks, or maybe with the maybe another demo as well. Okay, so these are all the campaigns which we conduct to sell our product, which is nothing but this training. So in the same way, Google also does this. So all we'll have to do is we'll have to calculate how much each campaign is contributing to the lead conversion to our customers. Okay, so again, we don't do this, but data scientists would do this. And for getting those numbers, he might want to run couple of machine learning algorithms. He knows what to run and what data he need. Say, for example, I want column X, column Y, column Z, column A, column B, column C in order to run my machine learning algorithm, in order to generate or in order to understand how much each campaign is contributing to the revenue generation. Okay, but he cannot get the data readily available, guys. That is where the data engineer comes into picture. So, for example, what are the data I'm talking about, right? It's called Salesforce data. So they have this Salesforce data in one of their systems called SFTC. Okay, and there are some other sources too. Say, for example, they have all your email IDs which you have used for registrations. That's another source of data. And then they have the campaign data. They have lead data. They have contact data. They have a lot of data coming in from different data sources. And then some data coming in from their advertisements itself. Say, for example, you are searching for some product in Google, even that data would be recorded in the backend. Okay, and maybe you are visiting Google's website and then looking for Google products. That data would also be recorded in the backend. Okay, for every click you are making, you are actually generating data in the backend, and that data is stored at different sources or different platforms. So now we, as a data engineer, get that data into one place. That's the first step we will do. And then, we cannot directly use the data as is, right? We'll have to do some kind of transformations. We'll have to do some kind of wrangling. I'll give you a classic example, right? For machine learning algorithm, when we talk about machine learning or AI, we have two types of variables. One is continuous variable, and the second one is a categorical variable. To put it in a layman terminology, difference between continuous and categorical. Say, for example, these are two columns in your data, and if the values are finite, then it is categorical. As simple as that. Okay, yes, no, category, high, medium, low, category, and then expensive, medium cost, cheap, another category. So anything that can be categorized is a category. And then continuous variable, you can take age as your classic example. It doesn't have finite values, it's infinite. Okay, so age can start from 1 year and it can go up to 80, 100, whatnot. Okay, so price of the product is a continuous variable, and maybe some machine learning algorithm they doesn't want continuous variable. Maybe they want categorical variable. Okay, so we can actually convert based on some rules. We can probably take age as an example. Age you have from 1 to 100, right? Maybe what we can do is maybe 1 to 11 or 1 to 12, we can call it as kids, and then 13 to 19, teen, 20 to 30, youth, 30 to 50, middle aged or 45, middle aged, and above 45, old age or elders. Okay, so this is how actually we can convert continuous to categorical variables. And whatever the categories I have given, right? I have told you, right? This might not come from us, but that would come from a data scientist. Boss, this continuous variable needs to be converted to this categorical variable, and this is the logic which you'll have to follow. He cannot write a SQL query or he cannot write a PySpark code. It's us who are going to write that code and provide the data in the format he would need so that he can run the machine learning algorithm. So here we are not designing any ML algorithms. Here we are not defining how the data would look like, but he is the one who is providing us with all the inputs, and we are the ones who is doing what it takes in order to generate data in the format he wanted it. Okay, so not just AI, but also for BI. So BI stands for business intelligence. Maybe, these numbers cannot directly translate into reports, right? The higher management or the sales folks or the non-tech folks, they cannot, write queries or they cannot dig into your data to understand what's happening. So you are expected to build some reports. When I say you, it's not us, but we have a different set of people, data analysts for the same. Okay, they need to have, in-depth business understanding, what business does and what metrics are valuable, what metrics can contribute to the decision making, and they prepare beautiful charts, so using some pie diagrams, histograms, and then, maybe the line charts or the graph comparison, whatnot. Okay, but they'll be translating these numbers into charts. Okay, but it's our responsibility to provide him with the numbers, right? So our primary stakeholders are, two folks who works on AI and folks who work on BI, artificial intelligence, and then business intelligence. AI, all your ML and everything comes under AI, and BI, same. Whoever have capabilities to build these reports using tools like Tableau, Power BI, MicroStrategy. There are a lot of reporting tools. Okay, but as a data engineer, it's our responsibility to do all the transformations to the data and provide a readily usable data to these folks. That's what we do. And we have to deal with different type of data sources, guys. And again, the data source might depend on different types of data we have, different classifications, right? It could be unstructured data, it could be structured data, it could be semi-structured data files like JSON, XML, CSVs, right? And then when it comes to structured, it's always going to be your RDBMS or data warehouses. And then unstructured, again, files. It could be a HTML file, it could be any other files, which needs to be converted to structured before we process it, right? And then based on the relevancy of data, we have historic data, transaction data. Don't worry if you are not familiar with these terms. This is what we are going to learn throughout our course. How to deal with different types of data. Okay, so it doesn't matter what data type it is, what data format it is, where the data is currently residing. It's our responsibility to bring that data and do all the transformations and make it available for our AI and BI folks to readily run their applications or build their reports. As simple as that. Let me take a pause. Are we good so far? Can everyone acknowledge, please? Are we good?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, this data engineer term is a modern term, guys. It has evolved from, the word called ETL developer or the role called ETL developer. Okay. So, we have different types of folks dealing with data. Okay. But, data engineer is evolved, data engineer term has evolved from the word ETL developer. The same operations people used to do using tools like Teradata, Informatica, they're all ETL tools, tail end. Okay, so they extract data from different sources and then transform, then load it into a data warehouse. This is the traditional definition of ETL, extract, transform, and then load. Okay, and when we started replacing the on-premise services with cloud services, this data engineer term has come into picture. After ETL, we have got a distributed computing framework in Hadoop, and then it evolved into Spark, right? Right now it's all Spark and PySpark, and now whenever we use this word data engineer, right, he is supposed to have a in-deep understanding on what an ETL developer does, and then how the distributed computing frameworks work, right? And then different services that are available in cloud. So, who can actually build this end-to-end data solutions? Okay, so that's the expectation of a data engineer today. Okay, and having some knowledge or the high-level knowledge on the reporting tool and AI would be a big plus, but not expected from you. Okay, so uh, we are going to learn Azure in our course, or Azure has hundreds of services, guys. Azure have hundreds of services. We are not going to learn all of them, but we are going to learn the services that would help us to build data solutions. Okay, so first we'll start with the storage account, which is the service that helps us in storing data. So before you process data or before you perform any transformations, the first step is to get the data into your cloud and store it, right? First of all, you should have the data in the cloud platform. That is where the storage account comes into picture. So storage account would help you to store the data. Basically, it's a kind of disk service. Okay. And then compute. So when it comes to compute, we have different services, guys, Azure Databricks. So in Databricks, we have Spark supported. We can build applications using Spark framework. Okay, so in our course, we'll be learning SQL, Spark SQL, and we'll also be learning PySpark. So basically, Spark applications you implement using SQL, we call it as Spark SQL. Spark framework or Spark applications you implement using Python, you call it as PySpark. Okay, there are a couple of other languages which are Java and Scala, using which you can build Spark applications, but we won't be focusing on those two. We would learn Spark framework using SQL and PySpark, Python. Okay, and then we'll get to learn about a lot of things Spark has to offer, and then Databricks has to offer optimizations, Databricks workflows, how you create a job, how you schedule a job, and then how you create a workflow, how you schedule a workflow end to end. So all those things we'll be talking in Databricks topic. So Databricks will be spending an ample amount of time. almost like 1 month. So if you think of our course duration as 2 months, 50% of the time we would spend on Databricks. Databricks being a, you know, Databricks being a predominant tool in data engineering space today. You can go ahead, open the job portals if you are in India, Naukri, if you are in US, the respective job portals, if you are in Canada, respective job portals, just open and then look for Azure data engineer job descriptions. I can confidently tell you 90 to 95% of them will have Databricks. Okay, so we will spend a lot of time here. And then I'm gonna talk about Azure Data Factory. So Azure Data Factory, again, it's a UI-based tool. We describe this tool as a no code, less code tool. Okay, no code in the sense it's a configuration driven. Basically, you don't have to write the code. You can drag and drop the tiles, and then you can provide the configurations that would generate code in the backend by the tool itself. So basically, it's a no code or less code tool. There is a reason why I'm calling it as low code or less code, because at times you might have to use something called as expression language. Again, it's not any programming language. You will have an expression builder support as well from ADF. Okay, and you have a good number of tutorials. So it's not as complex as a programming language, but yeah. So sometimes you might have to write some expressions using this expression language. And hence I have called this tool as no code or low code tool. Okay. And once we are done with this, I'll be starting Azure Synapse Analytics. So Azure Synapse, to describe this, it's almost like ADF plus Databricks is Azure Synapse. We'll be spending very less amount of time in Synapse, maybe 3, 4 sessions, or sometimes it could be 2, 3 sessions. Okay, because by then you're already done with Data Factory, you're already done with Databricks. I'll just show you the UI differences and other things. That is it. Okay. So this is what we have in our course, guys. Probably to list the services, we only have 4 here, but you can go back and check the content I have shared. You will have detailed description of all the topics I'm gonna cover under these each of these services. And we'll also cover Azure Key Vault. It's a small tool though to store any sensitive information like passwords, keys, certificate keys. Okay, so any sensitive information, right? We don't directly expose it in the uh, coding platforms or the Databricks notebooks or wherever it is. Instead, we would be storing those values in Key Vault and accessing those sensitive information from this Key Vault. Okay, so these are the services which you are going to learn as a part of this course. Duration of this course is 40 hours. 40 hours. Okay. And once we are done with this course, I'll be giving you the uh, roadmap for what you'll have to do next based on your experience, guys. Because I understand not every one of you have the same experience, right? So we will have a one-on-one sessions. Once the course is completed, we'll have one-on-one sessions, and based on your experience, I'll be giving you inputs. Okay. And once that is done, probably once you are confident and once you have prepared your resume, I will be again connecting with you. Again, it's on request basis. You'll have to request for a session, but I'll be connecting with you, verifying your resume, and then I'll make sure your resume is getting shortlisted for the interviews. It will not be rejected. That is something which I can make sure, but it's you who will have to clear the interview. Okay. Again, I want to make it very, very, very clear. I'm not gonna prepare your resume, but you'll have to prepare one, and we are gonna connect and discuss about how your resume looks like. Probably whether it is getting shortlisted or whether it would get rejected. I'll just make sure you're not making any rookie mistakes. Okay. And once you are really confident about clearing the interviews, I would also do one mock interview. Again, this is on request based. Okay. So you just need to request for mock interview. and I would be doing a one round of mock interview based on your experience. Okay. So, yeah, that's all I have for today's session, guys, and the floor is open for your questions.
So how much you focus on the certification of the Databricks on your training?
Sorry, Venkat.
Now, how much do you focus on the certification uh, when you go on the training?
See, my course is not theoretical and not certificate driven, Venkat. Okay, so basically, my course is completely based on the real-time scenarios which I have worked on and which you will be working on once you are into a project. And it's a good question, and this should answer most of your questions too for others as well. Okay, certification is a different ball game. I have cleared certifications. I have certifications under my name from Databricks, from Microsoft. Okay, so certification
Mhm.
is more of a theoretical thing, and most of the questions come from different topics which we haven't explored. Okay, so if you ask me, was with this course, will we be able to clear 50%, 60% of the questions that comes in certification? Answer is yes. But can we clear certification with 90%? No. Okay, so you will have to learn some other topics as well in certification perspective. Okay, but I'm
So, do
not sure
you
about
cover the Delta Lake, Lake House, One Lake, and etc. in this
everything
course?
will be covered. You can just go through the content. Those things will be covered.
And
Unity catalog, Delta Lake, sorry, Unity catalog, Delta Lake, and then you know we have workflows, we have different types of compute. All those things would be covered.
how much you focus on the data factory
Data factory, it would be for a couple of weeks.
and anything to do with the um, data fabric in this
No,
course?
no.
Okay,
Microsoft Fabric is again Databricks plus Data Factory plus Synapse plus GenAI.
right, yeah.
So Fabric, I won't be focusing much on Fabric. So basically, what I'm gonna do in this course is teach you fishing so that you can fish on your own once this course is done. Not just with Azure, but also with AWS and GCP too. I'll be teaching you data engineering, but not services. You can use any services to build those solutions because Databricks is available in AWS and GCP as well. You go there, it's the same PySpark code. You go there, it's the same Unity catalog, same computes, different types of computes. It's everything same, but just that how the infrastructure used in the backend would be different. So, for example, in Azure, you use a storage account. If you go to AWS, you use S3 buckets. You go to GCP, you use Google buckets, and then we have Data Factory here. If you go to GCP, you have something called as Data Fusion, and then you go to AWS, you have something called as Glue, right? And we have Synapse here. If you go to GCP, you have BigQuery. You go to AWS, you have Redshift, right? So services, they are more or less kind of similar offerings, but what difference they make at the end of the day is the pricing and the infrastructure they use in the backend and the way the governance revolves around these services. Okay, so that's the reason, even though the requirement is for a different cloud, you have good knowledge on one cloud, you will be selected, you'll be recruited, and then you'll be trained on a different service. I have seen that happening multiple times.
And in your training, you assume like the students do not know anything about the data, or do you ask? And if the 99% of the people or 100% know something about the data, and if uh, they already worked on the different data engineering, then you take it from there.
I treat every one of you as laymen. It doesn't really matter. You have 20 years, 30 years experience. into a different stream, into a data field, I don't care about that. But having some experience on, previous experience on ETL tools is definitely helpful. Some experience on SQL would be definitely helpful. But even if you don't have that, it doesn't matter for me, because I would treat every one of you as a layman. You just started, you just graduated from your college. That's how this course is going to be. Okay, so people who are already coming from ETL backgrounds, it could be little frustrating for them in the beginning, especially those few sessions where I spend in basics and then SQL. It could be little boring or little frustrating for you, but uh, once we get into the actual topics, you'll find it interesting. Yeah. Any other questions?
What level of Python is required for this course, Suresh?
So Python knowledge here, Suresh, it's good to have, but even without having Python knowledge, you will still be able to understand the classes. But for you to write a better code using PySpark, then it's always good to have Python. In fact, I'll be showing you a couple of examples as well in the session, in the course, like how would a Python developer write Python code, and how would a SQL developer write a PySpark code. Okay, I'll show you the differences. Even without knowing Python, you can still be able to write PySpark applications, because um, at the end of the day, the expectation is that you should have some understanding on SQL transformations. You should know what a join is. You should know what a union is. You should know what a windowed aggregate function is. You should know what a group by does, so on and so forth. So you have good knowledge on these things. You have documentation and different tutorials and Google to help you with the syntaxes. Okay, so even without knowing Python, you can still write PySpark applications. But if you know Python, you can reduce a lot of code that you are actually writing. You can write modular code, you can implement classes, you can implement a lot of things. You can actually automate a lot of things. Okay, so knowing Python is good to have, but for my course, it is not needed. But for your job, it depends on your team. If they are building PySpark applications predominantly on Python, they might expect Python knowledge. But if they are if they're having a good number of people writing PySpark applications using a SQL approach, then you might be good to go even without or less Python knowledge. At least some Python knowledge should be there for sure, especially for jobs. Maybe not for my course, but yeah, to clear interviews and then to get into a good roles, it's always good to have.
How about PLSQL? Do we need to know PLSQL also?
PLSQL is not at all supported in PySpark. Maybe these days with Spark 4.0, they started support for PLSQL, but PLSQL is nowhere used at this point in time. So we use PySpark or the programming approach where PLSQL is needed.
Okay.
But again, knowing PLSQL would give you, good knowledge. Might not be in PySpark, but there are services like BigQuery, Snowflake, which predominantly runs on SQL. So there, the knowledge is priceless. But in PySpark and Databricks, no, you don't have to. But PLSQL or stored procedures is not covered as a part of this course, guys. I just want to highlight
Okay.
this. Okay.
What are the timings for this class daily?
Timings and the price, start date, everything would be shared by CareerIT point of contact for you. I'm not sure who is the point of contact from CareerIT. Said they have multiple people, but all these administrative things you can get from them. Anything course related, I can help you out, guys. Okay.
Okay. This course is 2 months, right?
Yes, 40 hours rather than calling it as 2 months. It's going to be 40 hours. I would say 35 to 40 hours, depending on the number of students we have and depending on number of questions we get in a session, because I don't stop you from asking questions. You can actually interact with me in the session itself. You can ask questions and we can discuss a lot of things. So I would always say 35 to 40. Sometimes it go beyond 40, maybe 2, 3 sessions more or maximum 5 sessions more, depending on how much we are deviating from the actual topic in the session. So it's relative. Ideally, it's 40. Any other questions, guys? I'll be waiting a couple more minutes just to see if you have any questions. Else, I'll be wrapping this up. One request from my side before you drop off, please leave a single liner feedback or whatever you feel about this demo in the chat window, guys. Thank you all. If you don't have any questions, I'm done with the session. You can drop off. But before you drop off, please leave a feedback in the chat window. Once again, thank you all. I'll be here if you have any questions for a couple more minutes.
The pipelines can be created in Azure and AWS both, or you can create only in single application.
No, in any cloud. So basically,
Okay.
pipeline is nothing but creating an end-to-end seamless uh, operation where your data can run through. That is what we call as a pipeline. So wherever you go, you will have it one or the other way.
So as part of this course, you'll cover both AWS and Azure, or
Nah,
just
AWS, no, it's only Azure.
Okay. Can you show at least one session in AWS for the pipeline?
Unfortunately, no, Suresh. I don't have any licenses for AWS.
Okay. It's costly, right? AWS is it?
Not sure. Like I was mentioning, AWS is the least explored cloud for me, and I have only used my organization licenses. So I'm not sure about how the public pricing would be. But yeah, GCP and Azure, I can give you all the information about the public usage too. I mean, you as an
Oh,
individual, if you use it, how much it would cost you, I can definitely give you an estimate. But AWS, I'm not sure, buddy.
No, no. Compared to Azure, AWS is costly friendly. Azure is the costly. They will charge you for minutes.
Yeah.
AWS, you have a free account. They will be given for around $120 for free session.
Again,
You
it's a
can
good
use it
question.
for 180 days.
It's a good point to bring, Suresh. So even Azure, they offer you 30-day free trial for $200 worth
Yes, yes,
account.
yes. $200. But if you are using for previous for same IP address, they will not be allowing nowadays.
Not same IP address, there are a lot of other parameters too. The
Yeah,
same
yeah. Other
card,
parameters also there.
the same email ID, a lot of things you'll have to change.
Yeah, yeah. Mobile number and the same network. These
Correct.
all will be matter.
Correct. GCP is more friendly one, I would say, compared to the
Yes,
other two.
yes.
You can create as many accounts as possible, and every time you create, you'll get a 5,000 or 6,000 INR worth of cloud, which you can use for practicing multiple things. But again, if you ask me, boss, how much do we have to spend on cloud for this particular
Okay.
course? If you follow all my instructions carefully while creating these services, you will end up spending somewhere in between 1200 to 1600 INR per month, not USD. Okay.
Okay.
So 1200 to 1600 INR per month. Okay. And if you want to explore more, if you are doing a lot of other things, I don't guarantee about the billing, but the average billing is 1200 to 1600 INR. Okay, and that too for the second month. And I'll give you the other options as well, where you can practice few things for free of cost too. Databricks, we have community edition, we have free edition as well. These days, free edition was introduced with almost all the features that a licensed version has. And it also have some credits. I think they provide you credits up to $50, I guess. I'll confirm the number, but yeah. Community edition, it's free of cost. You can use as much as you can, but not all the features are available. But you can practice, a lot of things we have discussed in Spark SQL, PySpark, a lot of things, guys. Maybe Unity catalog support and other things you will miss out. But you can actually calculate, where to spend and where not to spend. But I'll give you the options. Okay, so anyway, first 1 month will be free of cost for you. If you haven't created and used an Azure account earlier, it's going to be free of cost for you. But if you have created an Azure account earlier, it would be little tricky. Okay, so first 1 month would be free. Second month, it's not about 1 month, 2 months, guys. It would be a deal till you get a job. Okay, it could take 6 months, it could take 1 year, it could take 3 months only, depending on your experience and your expertise and the efforts you are putting in. Okay, so it's a deal till you get a job. Okay, so you can assume like you will be spending some 1500 INR every month till you get a job. Cool, thank you all.
Yeah, thanks.